Hi, I hope all is well with you and that you're staying safe. Purim is just around the corner. It's usually a day of joy, happiness, and simcha, but this year it can't be the same. Not with Klal Yisrael being in a state of war, a nation in mourning for the brave soldiers who have lost their lives defending us, and our many brothers and sisters who are still being held in captivity. Whether it will be the saying of Tehillim before beginning the festivities or the cutting back on some of the revelry that normally takes place on this special, festive, and meaningful day. Either way, we will always remember that the Purim of the October 7th war was different. As with all of our Chagim, there are so many profound lessons to be learned from them, and Purim is no exception. I would like to focus on one aspect of the Chag that perhaps we do not think about as much as we should. During the Holocaust, we lost a third of our nation, but Klal Yisrael as a whole was never threatened. During the events of Purim, the Ribono Shel Olam, through his agents, Haman Harasha and Achashverosh, decreed that Chas v'Sholom, the entire nation would be annihilated, every last man, woman, and child. It seems from Chazal that the final sin of Klal Yisrael that caused this horrific decree was their participation in Achashverosh's party. Question is, why was that so bad? In fact, the men were in one hall and the women were in a separate hall, and the food was kosher. So what was so terrible? The event took place 70 years after the destruction of the first Beis Hamikdash. The Navi taught that the exile would last only 70 years and that the Beis Hamikdash would be rebuilt after that time. Achashverosh, who had all of the clay Mikdash, the holy vessels of the Beis Hamikdash, did not dare using them during the 70 years for fear of divine retribution. But at one point, according to his calculation, the 70 years had passed and the Jews were still in exile without a Beis Hamikdash, which meant to his mind that the prophecy was wrong, and therefore there was nothing to fear. So at his party, he brought out and used all of the clay kodesh of the Beis Hamikdash. The sin of Klal Yisrael is that they attended a party where all the food was served on holy vessels of the Beis Hamikdash, and they didn't protest the violation of clay kodesh. The reason that they didn't raise their voices in protest was because they also miscalculated, and they felt that the date for the redemption had passed, and they had lost all hope. Their emunah that Hashem would save them had crumbled, and there is no greater sin than losing your emunah. I think the lesson for us is clear. Just as the Jews of Persia were tested, so too we are being tested. The Ribono Shel Olam has promised us that he will never forsake us, regardless of the tribulations that he has decreed that we must undergo. He will always watch over us, and he promises that eventually he will redeem us from this bitter gullus. It was only under the threat of total annihilation that Klal Yisrael woke up from their mistake and did proper tshuva and were saved. Let us strengthen our emunah and bitachon, so that as we celebrate this wonderful Chag of Purim, we remember that as difficult as the challenges that we are going through are, Avinu Shabashamayim loves us, cares for us, is sharing our pain, and will continue to watch over us, and eventually bring Mashiach. Let us hope and pray that it happens b'me'er b'yameinu. Have a Shabbat Shalom and a wonderful, joyous, and meaningful Chag.